Hi guys, you are welcome to Nesteli. Thank you so much for dropping by. Today we are going to be discussing the mindset, the psychology of success by Carol Dweck. So if you're someone that has kids and you feel like you need some work that has to do with or you just don't understand why some things are just not working for you, I think this book is for you. So sit back, relax, and let us begin. Hey, okay, so I've not. First of all, I have to apologize. I've not been here for like over a month. I don't even have my reasons because I've been reading and somehow I've not been like. I literally have no reason. I apologize though. I've been reading. So though we're in the month of May, this book I read in April. I've read several other books since then. It just wasn't doing me to do videos. I have no excuse. But this is a fresh video showing up. So, Mindset by Caroline Dweck. This book was literally forced upon me by my man, by my husband. He was like, see, I want you to read this book. I want you to read this book. I want you to read this book. I don't know why I think the issue was that he didn't explain to me why I should read the book. He was like, it's just a good book, read it. And we had the opportunity to talk about it. And I think it's worth the hype that he had for it. Here's what you need to know about the book. It's a big book. Personally, I don't think it's necessary that it's that big. Okay, but that's personal to me. I don't understand. Like I felt like the authoress was being very repetitive in what she was saying. So the general idea of the book, which is what I'm going to discuss today, is the mindset. How some things, like your psychology, the way that you look at things, has been stopping you from from attaining more, and how your mindset can influence the way you just tend to look at life, and all that. So she mentioned two major mindsets that everybody seems to have that is stopping them. No, in general, one stops you from being successful, one stops you from one makes you succeed and succeed very well. Okay, number one is the fixed mindset. Fixed mindset is the one, it's like it's fixed. The fixed mindset is the kind of thing that makes you think it's just the way I am. You hear people say that kind of thing. Don't blame me. I talk too much. I'm real. Yeah, I think that's what I hear a lot. Say, I'm real. That's just how I am. I'm a real person. I see my mind, or I'm a peaceful person. There's something that my husband and I always say, where we say that the person that tells you that they are peaceful, they're generally not peaceful. And it's if you've been around and dealt with enough people, you realize that people that say, oh, generally, I like peace. I don't have problem. I'm a nice person. Usually, they are very troublesome. They are very, very troublesome. They're not peaceful people. So it's like people that believe that are very fixed because they believe what they say is, how do I put it? They're absolute in their belief about a certain thing, which most times is not true. Most times when people believe something very strongly about themselves, they tend to believe something very strong about every other thing. Yeah. So just like how they meet you and say you talk too much, they tend to just rope you into the you talk too much situation. I'm not very good at this. They will just rope it in. I'm not very good at this. They don't try to make it fluid. They don't try to change it. And there are a lot of things that make people to become that. Sometimes it might be tied to your personality. Most times it's tied to the environment to which you grew up. Why I feel like this book is actually very important is we in Nigeria, we're very, I think the way a lot of us were raised, people that were raised as millennials and let's say Gen X, yeah, millennials are, let's say Gen X, those people that were born in the 90s and as 1990s, 1980s, and maybe 1970s, we likely have a very fixed mindset about things because we always believed, we're trained to believe that some things, like when it comes to education, there are some things that were good, some things were not good. People that did the arts were considered poorly in school. I mean, it affected the way they even do in school because those that when they do junior WAEC, that's our entrance exam into senior school. In secondary school, if you don't do very well, you automatically go to arts. It's not necessarily about how good you excel in some particular things. Meanwhile, if you do very well, you're going to be a doctor. In fact, it's simple. You're going to be a doctor. So they just put you to doctor class. Sorry, I'm exaggerating. But you go into the medicines class. So it's like if you're good with biology, physics, and chemistry, it doesn't matter if you want to be a historian or you want to be a teacher or you want to be an artist. That's besides the point. You're going to be a doctor. Simple. And they'll just throw you in there. So those things have a way of fixing your mind to believe some certain things about yourself. Do you understand? And it's very, very harmful when you believe things very negative about yourself and hold on to it as if it's fact. A lot of times we now learn to wiggle our way and adjust our lives to these negative things that we know. The thing with the fixed mindset is that it stops you from believing and knowing that there's a new and different way of seeing things. That's why when you talk to older people, when they tell you about things that they regret, they say things like, how I wish I risked more. I wish I took more risks. I wish I was more bold. That boldness is basically subdued by your fixed mindset. Sometimes people say, it's the way, some people say it's our parents, it's our teacher. But when you grow up, you realize that you're also very fixed in the way you look at things. Now, why my man told me I should make sure that I read it was because we have a child. This book is very, very, very important for parents. Read it though. It's one of those books that you need to read so that you can know what you're doing with your child, so that you can help your child, because life changes, the world happens, and as it changes, there's growth, and your child has to have the growth mindset. That's the second mindset. The ability to adjust, the ability to rise from mistakes, the ability to understand how to adjust. I keep using that word, to adjust, how to wiggle in and fit into places where it might not seem that you're supposed to fit in regularly. Do you understand? So just because a child might suffer in math doesn't mean that they are bad in math, ultimately. That might just mean that they might need another way for the math to be explained to them. Just because they're not very good in biology, that doesn't mean that they cannot understand biology. Do you understand? I'm talking of subjects in secondary school right now, because I think at secondary school was one of those major formative, at least for me, that's what the issue was. Secondary school was one of the major formative years where you become very strong about what you believe in yourself when it comes to what your mind can or cannot do. And it's very faulty, because you then grow up and then realize, so I could do this whole time. I just didn't get it. You get. So what you want, because of the speed to which life is changing, currency itself is even changing. That's how much change is happening. So it's like our idea of security is changing, our idea of riches is changing, our idea of peace changes, our idea of luxury is everything is starting to change. So it's like you have to be able to raise a child that is able to adjust and grow at whatever circumstance or environment that they have. And it has nothing to do with whether there's more money or less money, whether they live in Nigeria or nothing, or anywhere else in the world. It has nothing to do with that. Just have a child. Of course, again, one of the things that make people sometimes naturally growth mindset, sometimes personalities come into, but the major thing being the environment. If a child is grown believing that they are good at a particular thing, they tend to trust that thing more than they trust any other thing. Most times, interestingly, like people that have a fixed mindset, most times they may actually do well in the world. But the thing is that if something just comes and breaks clash on them, if something changes, adjusting becomes very hard for them, because they don't know no other life. Like they've lived their whole life believing that this is what they are good at and they are the best at it. Do you understand? So most of the big entrepreneurs that have growth mindsets, because they know how to just switch. They know how to switch. When it looks like the world is turning this way, they just switch quickly and turn. Do you understand? People with a fixed mindset, if the world changes the way, they still want to stay here and try and see if they can shift the world to fit it. Does that make any sense? So the importance of growth mindset, down to, in the book, she explained, Caroline Dweck talked about even the way you praise your child has a tendency to make a child feel very fixed in their mindset. Why are they doing things? I think we even saw some flaws. My husband and I, when it came to our child, there are some things when we praise her, I was like, oh, that's very smart. You're a very smart child, And I think what I think is happening, could be happening in Nigeria very soon, is children that have grown their whole life believing that they are perfect are going to enter the workforce and realize that they cannot do jack. They are not as good. Nobody's telling them, oh, that's so smart. You're a star. Nobody's telling them that. It's like, so even if you climbed Kilimanjaro, came down in one day, so nobody. I don't know if you understand. So it's like you have to create the possibility of growth in your child. Let your child know that they can work and they can do well, and they can, everything will start be okay. The world will not fall apart. All those things come into play when people just believe fixed that this is what they are, this is their whole life. So when things just change, they cannot even make it up there. It leads to exposure to drugs and things like that. It's scary stuff, really, But I did enjoy reading this book. I think that is a book that every parent should read. If you have a child and you're trying to raise, it doesn't matter how old that child is, just so that you can know how to talk to the child. If you have an older child, discuss it with their own child, discuss it with them so that they can also know how to raise their own children, if and when they want to have their own. Do you understand? I think that the book is one of those books that, as a family, just have it around somewhere so that you can look through it. I don't agree with everything she said. Can I point that out? For me personally, I've been one of those people that have fought with the idea of just grouping people. Like people are like this or people are like this. I believe that there's a place where there's a go-between. She did try to start explaining that later in the book. But like I said, where I was with this book is that the major gist of the book was, I believe, was achieved in the first 2 chapters of the book. She didn't have to go into like long, the book just became too long. I think it was a 9-hour long book. I felt like after 3 hours, I got the gist of the book. And I felt that way while I was reading the book. So you can imagine that. So anyway, for you, it might be different. It caused an argument here in my house. My husband believes that the whole thing made sense. it was worth it, blah blah blah. Me on the other side, I'm like, it didn't need to be this long. So it's different for different people. But if you've read it, if you know anything about this book or you know anything about the whole mindset idea, some people really are not into, they believe that all these new ideas that people are using to confuse people, create problems where there are no problems. I'd really like to know what you think about it. And I don't know, what do you think about the whole idea of mindset? Do we really decide what our future is, our inability to adjust to new things because just because of what we believe that we are or we are not? Please leave something in the comments so I could know. I don't think I've already said this, but please like this video, okay? Let's get more people to, I'm sorry. Oh my god, that's crazy. This time we can get more people to watch the video, and thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.